Oh, that's hot. Good morning, everybody. It is lovely to see you all again. So I would say that this year I have read more books than I have in a really long time. Now, granted, I didn't read that many books, so don't judge me, okay? Hopefully next year I'll read some more. And since it's the end of the year, it's one of those cozy months, I decided let's do something that's chill and cozy. And what's more chill and cozy than sitting down with a cup of tea and judging the books I read throughout the year? So I thought, what better way to start than from the first books that I read this year, which was Percy Jackson. Now, I've read Percy Jackson before when I was in middle school. It was one of the first series I ever truly read and loved, but I did reread through it this year because of the Disney series. And I absolutely enjoyed it. I wasn't sure I was going to enjoy it again now that I was an adult. Still loved it. So, first of all, do you see this? I love these book covers. This is so amazing how it just like smoothly ties into each other. I love that so much. Oh my goodness. It's beautiful. It's a work of art. All right, Percy Jackson books. The Lightning Thief, obviously the first one. S tier. Completely, because like this is a really great book. It's a really great book. Judge me all you want. Also, don't judge me because like my rankings are gonna probably be all over the place. But yeah, I mean, to each his own, right? Sea of Monsters. It's definitely below the first book. I'm gonna say B tier. I didn't enjoy Sea of Monsters as much. It's always kind of the lacking book. Every single time I try to reread this book, I give up because it's just boring for me. I'm pretty sure this one's called The Titan's Curse. And I call myself a Percy Jackson fan. Okay, so The Titan's Curse. I'm trying to remember this one. This one's like a forgettable one, but when you read it, it's actually kind of good. But you always forget what happens in it. So it's not like, you know, like it's not worse than Sea of Monsters. But does it really deserve A tier? I say B tier. B tier, but above Sea of Monsters. Battle of the Labyrinth, really good book. Let's say A tier right now. And the same with the last book. Both of these are A tier, first book S tier, these two B tier. So next up is the next series I read, which was immediately Heroes of Olympus, of course, because this is a series I hadn't finished. I actually read the first two books a really long time ago, got halfway through Mark of Athena, and then gave up. Don't know why I gave up, because Mark of Athena, after I read it, was like my favorite of this entire series. First book, ugh, so boring. I mean, it's okay. Rereading through it, it was still fun. But it's B tier. It's on Sea of Monsters ranking. Son of Neptune, almost worse. You would think that it'd be better because Percy Jackson's in it, but honestly, because of the other two side characters aren't that interesting, and I just want Percy to see Annabeth again, I'm just kind of like, meh, you know? I'm just kind of getting through it to get to Mark of Athena. So, there. Mark of Athena. Most of the book is a little bit boring, which is why I quit reading halfway through. But the last half is so good that I want to put it there. Let's put it here. Because it's not quite S tier. House of Hades. House of Hades. Because like each book has some really good scenes, but then you think about the entire story as a whole, and then like there's some like really bad dead parts. I'll put House of Hades in S tier. Nope, I'm changing my mind. It goes there. Blood of Olympus is probably my least favorite book, so I'll put it there. You know what? It wouldn't be my least favorite book if Percy and Annabeth just had a perspective. You know? Like, how dare you have a Percy Jackson series and not give Percy a perspective at all in the last book? Like, I get it that, okay, maybe he didn't need all the perspectives, right? Like, him and Annabeth had mostly all the perspectives in House of Hades, which is why House of Hades is one of my favorites, because it's mainly Percy and Annabeth. But in Blood of Olympus, There's no Percy at all. Like, he's there, but he's from other people's perspectives. But it's like, Percy is the main character, and you're just gonna remove his perspective? We don't even get an ending scene to wrap up his perspective. Ugh, it's so frustrating. That's why Blood of Olympus stays in the last for me, because it makes me so mad that I don't get Percy's perspective. So the next book that I read was Percy Jackson and the Chalice of the Gods. Now, if you are a Percy Jackson fan, but you didn't know about this book actually just came out this year or last year. I forgot when it came out, but it came out around the same time as the Percy Jackson Disney series. And it was Rick rewriting the characters when they're, I would say older, but they're not older, which is kind of weird. They're still 17, but it is after the events of Heroes of Olympus, like by a month, I think. And so, yeah, this stuff happens, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a series. This is just book one. C tier. I didn't like this book that much. I think Rick has lost his Percy Jackson game at this point. Like, he doesn't really feel who Percy Jackson is anymore. And it's okay. It's fun. I had some fun reading it, so that's why it's not going to go in D tier. But it just didn't really feel as good as all the other Percy Jackson books, which was sad. Apollo, same. Apollo goes here. I forgot I didn't finish Apollo. I think I got to the last few chapters and I was like, this is just boring. And so I put it down. It wasn't even worth it. All right, next up is a whole bunch of like single books that I read. Cinder, I haven't finished the series, but I do have the rest of the series because I do plan on reading more. Cinder was really great. I would say Cinder is an A tier, somewhere like around here. I'll just go ahead and put it there. It's a really good story. I really liked Cinder. I wasn't going to like it at first. I thought it was just going to be a princess story because it's kind of based on Cinderella, but it actually took a really cool approach and I really liked where it went, and it was really dark. I liked that a lot about it. Dance of Thieves. I like this book a lot. I thought this book was really fun. I actually read it twice because I really liked it. S tier. Like I said, I'm gonna be harsh on S tier. I don't think it belongs in S tier. It is a really good book. I really enjoy it, and I read it twice. I don't know about S tier. I don't know. It doesn't quite fit there yet. Jade City. I didn't finish. I really wish I did. It's a really cool magic system, really cool world, but the characters weren't it for me. I just wasn't getting connected to them. I got about halfway through the book, and I still didn't really understand who the characters were, and that's a struggle for me. I need to have a character that I like before I can continue reading. So when I get to that point, I'm just like, I don't like them. I usually put it down. Same with Way of Kings. Now, again, this doesn't mean these books are crappy, all right? Like, Way of Kings is renowned as a really good series. I just didn't finish it. Probably this year, when I have some more time on my hands, I will finish the book and then try to finish the series because I'm pretty sure the next book's coming out soon. But the same reason, it was really slow at getting you involved with the characters, so I just didn't really like it. I didn't like it because I didn't like the characters. The magic system was cool, the world was cool, the lead ups, I knew it was going somewhere interesting, but I just sadly I just didn't like it. I couldn't get into it. Court of Thorns and Roses. This is the first book that's gonna get D tier. I hated this book with a passion. I hated it so much. I put it down after the first half, okay? And then I picked it back up. I was like, you can finish this book. So I keep reading. I put it down again when I get to the very last half of it. Like, no, I don't want to read it. It sucks. I don't even care what happens to the main character. But then I saw people saying that the second book is really good. So I was like, okay, I'm going to push through and I'm going to finish the book. Okay? So I picked it back up. I finished it. Still sucked. I hated every moment of it. I hated the love interest. I'm actually going to have a whole review on this book later, probably next year, but it deserves D tier. It is so terrible. Now the second book deserves B tier. B tier, yeah. This book was really good. A lot of people have put this book in S tier, but like I said, I'm really harsh on it. This book is pretty good. I'm not much of a spicy book person, okay? So because it kind of lays more into the romance than the fantasy aspect, I'm just not as into it as I am other like fantasy books, but it was really good. I did really enjoy this book. And because of this book, I'm going to keep reading the rest of the series and see what happens and see if I enjoy it. I did really like this book. Powerless. I read this one sometime in the summer this year. I'm trying to remember what I thought about Powerless. I think the first book I didn't like as much. I think the first book, it was like a C tier for me. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like nothing that stood out. But the second book, I would say is B tier because I actually really did enjoy the second book. There's a third book. I haven't read that one yet. Actually, it's not out. I will be reading that one and ranking it. But Powerless, decent. It was okay. Reckless was really good. I liked it. Now on to the big series. This is the series that took me most of the year to finish because there was just so many books. And these books, like they're fat. They're fat books. Look at this. This is a fat, chunky book, okay? 980 pages. Now, granted, this is the last book, but a lot of these books are huge. The smallest one is this one right here, which is about the size of like the middle-ish Harry Potter books. You know, they're big books, so it took me a while. But man, oh man, was the series worth it? This series was amazing. Okay, so Throne of Glass, immediately. S tier. I would say S tier. This book is really good and it sets up so much for the rest of the series, and the characters are amazing, and I love it. It's such a good book. Crown of Midnight, second book. This was my least favorite, I think. What even happened in Crown of Midnight? This is like the most forgettable one. So I would say like C tier. Oh, I forgot. Heir of Fire I didn't like. C tier. Okay, this isn't a fair judgment though, because I'm comparing these books to themselves. And I really shouldn't. I should compare these books to like overall reading. And Crown of Midnight and Heir of Fire were really good books in general. They just weren't as good as the first one. Now Assassin's Blade, again, about right here. That's where these books will sit, except these are, yeah, they're in order of how I like them. Queen of Shadows, one of my favorites. S tier. I would give that an S tier. Loved Queen of Shadows. Empire of Storms was also really good, but I'm going to put it on the A tier just because I think it's the ending that makes it better. The first half is very slow. Very slow. Tower of Dawn. I'll put that one right about somewhere in here. It goes somewhere through here. And then Kingdom of Ash, the last book. It's a really good book, but there's a lot of war and a lot of things that I didn't like at the end. So A tier. Doesn't get S tier like these two. These two were the best. They were fantastic. Percy Jackson, obviously the best. All right, so those are my rankings of all the books I read this year. Gosh, that list looks very tiny when you actually put it all together. Hopefully next year is a grander list of all the books that I read, because I'm planning on reading so much more this next year. But I will leave you guys with some recommendations for the next year. So if you're into like just general fantasy books, stories, things with cool magic systems or cool world building, I would say go for Mistborn, Scythe, or Throne of Glass. Those three are probably some of my favorites of the young adult fantasy series. Are they adult? They might be considered adult fantasy. I'm not really sure on the grading there. But they're really great. Mistborn, fantastic magic system. Scythe has a fantastic world. It's where no one dies, and so Scythe had to go around and kill people to control population. So cool. And then, of course, Throne of Glass, which is the series I just read, is a really cool fantasy world with a really cool magic system and a really cool premise about an assassin. I'm not going to go into all that. But these books are really good. These are my go-to when people are asking for recommendations from me. I really like these series. If you're looking for more of a romance fantasy, I would say go for Dance of Thieves. Throne of Glass is still a romance-ish. It's kind of there in the borderline, so I will throw that one up. And then Court of Thorns and Roses, if you can bear through it. It's very spicy, so if you like that kind of book, the second book is really good. The first book is just terrible. And if you like middle grade books, Percy Jackson and Harry Potter are my main go-tos. I actually haven't read that many middle grade books. On top of those, mainly I read young adult and adult. So, but maybe I'll read some more this year. I don't know. Alrighty, we are done today and for the year. Now, of course, I'm coming right back, but we're getting very close to Christmas, so I'm gonna take a break from recording. I'm gonna get these videos out, and I'm gonna jump right back in at the beginning of January. And I can't wait to see you guys. I don't have a full-on schedule, but I do have sort of an idea of how I'm going to be doing things, like the next few videos that are coming out. I'll put that over here real quick so you can see kind of the idea of where we're going from here. In case you guys missed it, I actually did answer some community post questions and did a like kind of get to know me video about, I would say about 2 weeks ago at this point. Don't really know when I'm publishing this yet, but about 2 weeks ago I did that video. So if you want to go check it out, I'll link it up there and then down in the description. And if you want to see more of what I actually do, which is videos about how to write stories and build magic systems, I will also link that down below my most recent video. And of course, it will be there at the end of the video too. Shout out to my Patreons. You guys are over here. You guys are awesome. I can't wait to see you guys next year. I hope you guys have wonderful holidays. Stay safe during the season. And yeah, bye-bye.